Geocachomaniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
Welcome to episode 341 of the GeoGearHeads. I'm Daryl W4, and Chris of the Northwest is trying desperately to get in, but he's in a hotel, so we'll give him some time. Let me introduce our co-host or our guest tonight, as Chris is playing around there. We've got Cowboy Bebop and Lobotomy. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey,
Hi.
glad to be here.
Yeah, really glad to be here.
Glad to have you guys on to talk about friendships. It was a cool idea that you guys actually pitched when we were at the Gigastock.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we talked about it after the Gigastock, but we ran into each other at the Gigastock and chatted for a while. And before we get too far into this, let me have you guys plug the show that you guys do together as a result of becoming friends through geocaching.
Okay, we're glad to do so. Jeff and I recently started our own podcast about a comic book from the 80s called Power Pack. And our show is called Unpacking the Power of Power Pack, where we walk through each issue of this underrated comic book while absorbing alcohol.
Yep, we drink beer and talk about an old comic book like mature people would.
Yes. We grew up and now we talk about comic books.
Yeah, so we hit the stage of our lives where we said, you know what I want to do?
I want to read comic books and then talk about them on a podcast.
Yeah, I want to hang out with a friend, have beer, and then make people laugh is what it really boils down to.
Speaking of beer, why
don't you give us our GeoGearHeads pick?
I will, my friend.
Excellent. This is my favorite part of our podcast, where Rick gives me a mystery beer. What do we got?
I have brought I have brought Peanut Brother from Great Notions Brewery.
Oh, you've told me about this.
I have told you about this. This is one of my favorite beers.
Imperial Milk Stout with chocolate and peanut butter.
It's fantastic.
Oh,
it sounds like dessert.
This is love. This is what friendship is about.
This is called a 9% ABV friendship. Is this what this is? Yeah. So, it's okay to drink on the show, right?
You may drink.
Yes.
But in the meantime, in the chat, Keepers of the Cash Flow and On a Boat say great beard.
Hey, thank you.
That's to you.
I thought it was a Rick thing. Yeah, I put a lot of effort into it. I had to spend years of ignoring my chin. A lot of work. I mean, there's a lot of dedication to that laziness. It was a level of laziness that not many people could achieve.
Yes.
So.
and now it's fantastic because he's got a 1-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Almost
one. She's
her birthday
a week and a half away.
Okay. Yeah. So the 1-year-old daughter, she loves taking this, and I have seen it on our podcast where she's taken his beard and tried to floss her non-existent teeth. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, she eats it like spaghetti and pulls herself up with it, and then just randomly yanks hairs out because it's fun.
Nice. Meanwhile, GSM times 2 wants to know why you weren't dancing, Chris.
I was. Didn't you see my hand going up there?
Yeah, he was doing the hand jive. Yeah. It was great.
Yes.
Yeah, it was, just body
right
part
there. It was awesome.
As well,
Yeah.
That's all about you could manage on the hotel Wi-Fi. Actually, you're not even on hotel Wi-Fi. You're back on the phone.
How can you tell that?
Because of the nasty angle.
Yeah, the up the nose angle.
That's a good angle. That's a good angle.
How's the nose hair? I mean, is it?
It makes you look taller.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, more powerful, more authoritative.
Yes,
that nose hair really says
the all-powerful Chris of the Northwest.
I was going to say you've got the evil villain angle. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. You need to practice saying "Doom." You got it.
Or I will destroy you, GeoGearHeads.
Whoa, and we lost him.
And we scared him away.
We've defeated the evil Chris.
Hey, heroes. That was terrible.
All right, before we get into the show, though, I did get an email from Cashers Anonymous who said, thanks for the plug on the latest podcast. We do still meet, and we even have an upcoming event in Wasion on the opening day of Midwest Geobash. So that's GC7T3YG. And unfortunately, I did ask, but unfortunately, I did not get a response as to how they remain anonymous. You know, if you log it, obviously it's not anonymous anymore.
Sock puppet accounts.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Or they could be lying about their real name. They could be wearing a mask.
Yes, but if you're logging the cache, the event cache,
Typing in gloves.
There you go.
Oh,
there you go.
Chris is a genius. There you go.
Fantastic.
That is
perfect.
And have an alibi. So what you do, Chris, is you have Daryl say that you were nowhere near the event.
Or the keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, let's get into the actual show, though. And guys, why don't you give us a little bit of your background and how you started caching and that kind of stuff?
All right. Okay. I had a friend of mine, TJ. He came into town in 2004. His parents still live in town here. I picked him up from the airport, and as we were working our way down to Salem, Oregon, he mentioned to me about this really geeky hobby he just found out about. And he tried explaining it to me, and I said, wow, that sounds really ridiculous. Next day, we went out and found a couple of caches, and I said, hey, can I borrow that extra GPS that you have? You know, that one that only goes to 2 decimal points and looks like a white brick with an antenna and gets me within about 200 feet of a cache. Can I borrow that for a while and find some caches? And started doing that. Ran into a couple of geocachers, Sled Dog and the Wizard, outside of a cache in front of the Wizard's house.
Mm-hmm.
Met a few more people, went to a couple of night caches, met a lot more people at Nightwalker.
Mm-hmm.
And the one big thing that for me, and I think for you too, is we went to a local event that used to happen every year. Now it happens every other year, called Shampooey.
Mm-hmm.
And me and another guy heard about this camp out called Shampooey at Shampooey State Park. Oh, we'll go try this out for the day. We'll drive down in the morning, see what's going on with it. Did not bring any food, did not bring any water, just went down to the campground. Next thing I know is I'm in the middle of a field with 3 other people as these trebuchets that were built by hand from various pieces at the campsite are launching water balloons out into the field, and I'm catching them with a funnel with screws in it and a pipe, and catching the water balloons, getting the water and dumping the water into a big bucket. And I didn't want to go home.
He had found his people.
I had found my people, and they kept giving me beer. And eventually they gave me food. And my wife called and said, where are you at? And I said, I'm not coming home. And
which made her very happy, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, this was pre-baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is
way pre-kid.
Way pre-kid. So yeah, we met a lot of people there. I know that's where I first met your fiance, Hillary. Yep. Met her here. That's way before.
That's where you met me too.
Were you at 2004?
I was I was at 2005.
You were 2005. Yeah. So I'll pass it over to you. How'd you get started?
Like all good things in life, I got introduced to geocaching by my mommy.
Nice.
And done. That's the end of the story. I have no other stories. No, no. Actually, she had read an article in the newspaper and had pushed it my way and said, "Hey, here's the thing. I think you might be interested in this." I'm like, "Oh, GPS treasure hunt. That sounds kind of cool." And I stocked it away in the back of my head. And then a couple of months later, a comic that I was reading, Knights of the Dinner Table, the writer of that, he put out a little thing going, "Hey, I just started doing this geocaching thing, and it's really cool." And he was having a lot of fun with it. And I said, "Oh, why don't I give it a check out?" And said, "Hey, all right. There's one over at Vancouver Lake, a lake that I like that's nearby. I don't have a GPS or anything. Why don't I just kind of drive over and kind of walk around the park and go look for it?" Found it, and I said, "Yeah, okay, I'm into this." So, and that's kind of how that started. And then for making the friends and everything, it took probably about 400 caches before I actually started doing stuff with people.
Really?
Yeah, because I would... I know there was like the message boards and stuff going on, like the PDX. I didn't know about those. So I'd go to a cache, like at the coast, and then I would find out, oh, hey, last week we had a bonfire. It was amazing. There was all these people here. It was so much fun. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. I'm here by myself. And then the times that I think the one time that I actually ran into another cacher on the trail, he pulled the old trick of putting the GPS up to his head and acting like it's a phone. He's got the clipboard with the page, the cache page printout on it and everything. I'm like, "Hey, are you geocaching?" He's all, do. I'm like, because I'm caching too, and I know that's a GPS. And I'm gonna just okay, bye kind of thing. So yeah, I think the way that I actually started meeting people was on some of the 5-star caches. I was putting like notes on that saying, hey, I want to get a group together to go to, you know, whatever, Wahika Honey Falls or something like that. And that's how I really kind of got into the group of people, is because I put that up and people started responding, and I got a group of like 5 people together or something that then wanted to go do that. And so we met up and went and did that, and then started becoming friends with them, and that tied into this, which tied into that, which tied into Shampooey, where, you know, 200 odd people are at. And then you start becoming friends with people because you're staying up late at night drinking and telling stories about Future Rhino and Joe the Uncrushable Man, which is just its own thing. It's just silly stuff.
And drinking a lot of purple, but we will not get into that.
Yeah.
No, I mentioned before about Nightwalker, and that's kind of where I first met people and first heard about Shampooey, and we should go to that. Nightwalker was a night cache that was put out by guy
no, it was a Navdog cache.
Navdog.
Yeah, it was
It was put out by Navdog, and we scared Daryl.
Yeah.
No, we put out this cache. Navdog put out this cache, and it was a really intense night cache that you would walk around going to different places. And I saw that I wanted to go and do it. I saw that a couple weeks prior to when I set up a group to go out to do it. Another big group went out. And I was like, I missed them. All right, I'm going to post a note and going to go and do this myself, which I think is probably one of the best ways, especially geocachers that are out there that have not met people or find it very difficult to meet people. You know, if you find a 5-star cache, if you find a really tough cache to go on, you put a note on there, you can usually get some people to say, yeah, I'm watching this cache too. I want to go and do this cache. I want to go and have some fun and find and find this with people as well.
And that's worked out really well for me before too, either seeing notes or posting notes. Because then you get kind of, it's like, I don't know, this is down a cliffside or up a mountain or something. I don't know if I'm really comfortable with doing it myself, but if there was a group of us, that'd be great. And then a bunch of people start doing that. Next thing you know, you're, you know, carrying rope around a mountainside and lashing it to a tree and roping down to a waterfall that's undocumented. And yeah,
I was planning on going out to see my sister-in-law in Maryland, and a travel bug that I had sent out, I saw I had gone into a brand new cache, placed in it 5-5 cache in Maryland. I was like, ooh, that sounds like fun. It was called Cacher's Oven. And I started reading into it, and I read that you needed to go rappelling. Well, I don't have any rappelling gear myself, and I was going to be flying across country to Maryland. Post a note on there saying, I'm going to be in town. I'd like to do this cache. I don't have any gear. Does anybody interested? Anybody, meet me here. The guy who helped place the cache had all of the gear and said, yeah, I'll meet you there. I want to go and find it myself now. Now it's published. Somebody else that was local in the area said, my wife and I want to go as well. Met 4 other people out in Maryland, never met them before in my life. And we walked out to a well at an old farmstead or an old homestead out in the middle of a forest in Maryland. Wrapped the rope around a tree, went rappelling down a well with people I'd never met before.
Yeah. Hey, before we go too much further, GSM times 2 wanted to know which part of the country you guys are from, because it sounds like you've got some cool caches and events out there.
Yeah, we are from the Portland, Oregon area.
Yep.
And the Shampooey that we've been talking about is at Shampooey State Park, which is halfway between Salem and Portland. And we now do that one every other year. And the next one is going to be next summer, and the theme will be science fiction.
Yeah, sci-fi.
Sci-fi. And when I say that's the theme, I am not kidding. We take over this park. We take over as many campsites as possible. We've got all of the yurts, all of the cabins. Usually. We usually have all of the campsites in the A loop.
Yeah.
Pick up as many as we can in the B loop. And was it 2 years or 2 camps ago, we had the Electric Shampooey Carnival.
Yeah. Yeah, based off the Electric Daisy Carnival.
Yeah. So everybody did a carnival game at their campsite and lit up their campsite. 10 o'clock at night, you did not need a flashlight. It was like walking around in bright daylight. It was so beautiful. The entire camp is just lit up with these lights.
And amazing to see what people did. One person set up an entire fun house with the mirrors, the lights, the 3D paintings and stuff. Really, really cool.
We had
skill test carnival games, people giving out prizes.
Goblin Dust set up a couple of those skill test games, and he does amazing caches as well. We do a lot of fun. One lady who's there, Debbie, her motto is, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. And that is kind of the motto we live by there. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, we're out here in the Pacific Northwest. We live not too far away from the original stash.
Headquarters.
Headquarters is up the road.
The oldest caches that are around in Washington and Oregon. What's really great about the Portland area.
I was going to say, I was going to brag. Is that okay if I brag?
Yeah, brag.
Okay. GC12 and GC16. Yeah, I own them right now.
Yeah. He didn't make them. He's just caretaking.
No, but they're under my name.
I think Hillary actually caretook one for a while.
She did?
Yeah, I think so.
Might have been GC16.
I think so. Yeah, I think it might have been.
I think at one point in time, everybody in Oregon, or everybody in the Portland area,
owned it.
Owned the original stash.
Oh yeah, that passed hands for quite a little while. It's like, the landmark geocache, and you want it?
Yeah.
How about you?
that means I got to drive down the road to Beaver Creek to go get it. Yes, we've been to the original stash location. It's a really nice
turn on that one.
Oh really?
I must have. Right. Yeah, I didn't have ownership of it for any length of time.
Were you in Portland?
Well, no, Tacoma.
Oh, well, that's fairly close enough.
Tell you what, it's close enough, right?
I think so.
Talk to headquarters. Talk to headquarters.
I was going to say, just next time you're in town, just poke Rick and go, hey, can I own it for the weekend?
No, that's GC12. I don't mind that.
Oh, okay.
You can answer questions. You can answer people questions about how do I get here. Use a map.
Yeah. Use a map and then walk.
You've got a GPS, right? That's how you get here.
Do I take this road? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it the only road in the area? Because it's in a wilderness.
It's amazing to me. People are like, I tried getting there. My GPS took me down this wrong road. I'm looking at the road that took me. Like, I don't know what GPS or map service you're using, but Google Maps will take you right there.
Yeah, but Google Maps will also take you some really screwy ways sometime. It will take you up it's just like, oh, this is 0.12 minutes quicker. So go up this forest road and then get trapped in the snow because there was this slight curve on the freeway and that made it a little bit longer. Because I've done those before.
Both GC12 and GC16 are up in Mount Hood. They will get snowed in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually want to get a hike together and do those this summer.
Oh, please do.
They're great. Yeah. We could probably. Well, I got a baby, but we could possibly find people to help you out or go do them with you.
I wouldn't mind going up there and doing it since I am in charge of it. I should go up and check it out.
Yeah. Maintenance. Cache maintenance is hard. No. I just assumed
give it
to
me for that day.
Yeah.
Give it to me for that day, and I'll go do the cache maintenance for you.
Oh, there you go.
Cache maintenance done.
There you go.
Not a problem.
I rely on cache maintenance done by the kindness of strangers.
Yeah.
People that are, that's a lie. I do it myself. I got a car wreck because I was maintaining a cache.
Sorry, you did.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a story that you'll have to tell.
Okay. Real simple. My first hide is called Wailing Bell, and it's on Washington State University campus. There's a nice kind of like art walkway pathway, and it goes through the forest and everything. And here's spoilers for people that are looking for it. Inside the bell, I put a magnetic, I made a magnetic container and I put it in there on top of the clapper. The hint is clap on, clap off the clapper. So I think you can figure it out. But yeah, so it had gone missing. So I checked it and I was like, yeah, it's gone. And I'm here and I'm had to rebuild the container, and I'm working on a script for one of our podcasts. And I just kind of got tired of working on the script. And I said, I could go replace it. It would get me out of the house for a bit. So I replace it. It's late at night. I'm driving home and I'm like, oh, it's all great weather, great driving conditions and everything. Oh, this person in front of me is slow. That's okay. They're getting out of the way. This person behind me is going really fast and now wants the exit that I'm passing. So he slammed into the front of my car. So
yeah.
It was real fun, doing the, hey, look, a Jersey barrier, and I'm fishtailing towards it out of control until I was in control, and then the heart's pounding, and I'm very upset because I love my truck, and pull over next to the guy who's just holding his face, and the very first thing he said to me was, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm not mad at you anymore. So, oh, you just were late to work.
I know, my bad. Are you okay?
Yeah,
yeah, all right.
Yeah, he claimed full responsibility, which was great. So. Yeah. But yeah, so not a great story. Just I was driving home and a man hit me with his car. And I said, I was going to try to
get us back to the friendships thing.
Oh, you
Because-
mean the topic of the?
This is
cast?
fine. I was gonna bring us back to that because
Well, before we do,
oh sure, go ahead.
GSM times 2 wants to know how the beer is.
Oh, it's good. It's really good. It's not as peanut buttery as what was the one that we had?
The Nut Crusher.
No, did we have Nut Crusher,
Yeah,
or
we had,
was it?
We had Nut Crusher.
Okay.
Oh no, we had
'cause-
Belching Beaver.
Yeah.
Belching Beaver.
Oh yeah, Belching Beaver.
Belching
That
Beaver.
one was super peanut buttery. It was like eating. It was like a Nutty Buddy.
Yeah.
This one's tasty.
This one's more of the darker chocolate with the peanut butter taste.
Yeah.
This is still one of my top favorites.
It's good.
And this is a hard one to find because Great Notions does not actually sell these normally. They did a release of this and Blueberry Muffin a couple weekends ago, and I picked up a flat of them. So
nice.
yes.
Yeah, it has a. It starts with kind of a chocolate. Well, it kind of starts with like actually a graham cracker flavor, goes into a chocolate, becomes a stout, and then finishes on a peanut buttery flavor. So,
but it has a nice
aces.
aftertaste too.
Yeah,
and
it's really good.
and by the end of this, we will rank these.
Yeah.
I was going to just mention that when we, starting out, met a lot of different people. I know that first people I met was the Wizard and Sled Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Through geocaching and through all the friendships we've had, I just was kind of going through and figuring out for us, I think we've been to about 6 or 7 weddings of geocachers, of people we've met. I've been best man at one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I went across the country to do a wedding, to be in a wedding of some friends I met here. My daughter has been a flower girl in Klausner and Zersha's wedding.
Yeah, I was their photographer.
You were the
they
photographer.
hired a photographer, and then he asked me, he's like, hey, can you do photos too? And then it was kind of neat after the fact. He's like, yeah, your photos are the official photos. Those are the good ones. I'm like, hey, that's cool.
Hey, you'd be surprised how often that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Armando and I just totally forgot.
Victoria?
Victoria, thank
There
you.
you go.
Armando and Victoria, that was on the, did you go up there?
No, I had to work.
Yeah.
That was a July 3rd.
July 4th.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, no, it's the 5th.
That's right. It was the day after.
July
the 4th,
5th at Seaside, Oregon, on the beach. July 5th. It was a Saturday. Seaside, Oregon, right after the 4th of July.
The 4th of July at Seaside is like Mordor. It's just blanketed with smoke and Oregon illegal fireworks going off and police tackling said kids throwing illegal fireworks into the crowds.
Yeah.
And one time I was there, a bomb squad showed up because there was a backpack that was left. They cleared out an area, but it's just bonfires and fireworks and just
mobs
choking smoke.
and mobs and mobs of people.
Take everybody you have ever seen before and then just put them on a boardwalk. And that's what.
And so the that's Friday, and of course some of those people left for Saturday, but most people are still kicking around town. Mm-hmm. So in the afternoon, at about the center of Seaside, they had their wedding. It was fun. It was a good time.
It looked nice. I like the photos of it. It looked really neat. They're a great couple. They're really good people.
Geo Donkeys. Oh, you know who I forgot on here? I forgot Corey and Joey.
Oh,
Corey and Joey. They had their wedding at Champoeg.
Yeah.
And I forgot that I was actually in that wedding too. And everybody had the purple Hawaiian shirts.
I actually did. I was there for it, but I didn't go to the wedding because I had no idea who they were, and it kind of felt like going to the girlfriend's friend's wedding, kind of a thing.
But they are such sweet guys.
I know. I'm sure
fantastic.
They're great.
They're fantastic.
I hear nothing but good things about them, but it was just the fact that I'm like, my first experience would be them at their wedding, and some weddings are awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Theirs was.
Okay.
I mean, we're all wearing purple Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, that's
fabulous.
Yeah.
We went to, I think, 2 of Basil's weddings.
Yeah. So some people had so much fun they did it twice.
Yeah. Team Maximus.
I didn't go to that.
Yeah.
I don't really know them. Is the thing.
So
I met them once.
We've met people. We've become close with these people, and all of a sudden we find that we are in their weddings or we're part of their weddings.
Mm-hmm.
Some people love cachers so much that they have children with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I met my fiance through geocaching. Actually, at Shampoo, it was the first time that I met her. And then she was a friend of Rick's and blah, 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 blah. 10 years go by and then we start dating. So, yep. So, yeah, my fiance is a cacher. My kid, who isn't even one, is a cacher.
Yeah. As is my daughter,
Yeah,
who's 7.
She has actually been to all the caches.
Yes.
Yeah,
My daughter has too.
She doesn't find them very well. And she doesn't sign the logbook very well. It's not decipherable. So
The first time, the first time my daughter actually physically signed the logbook, I made sure I took a picture of it and posted it in cache. It's very much scrawled, and she's like, "How do you spell half shell?"
Yeah, you don't. We've done just a team name for that. It's like Cowboy Bebop, Tierra del Fuego, and Aurora B. So I just go CAT cat. There,
Cat.
done.
Perfect.
Make it easy to spell out. But yeah, then I do a podcast with a geocacher. Most of the people I hang out with now actually are geocachers. I still have non-caching friends, but yeah, the friend group really had formed around geocaching. And if it wasn't for caching, my life would be fairly similar but entirely different.
But at the same time, you have the other side, which is that we've seen a lot of good things. We've seen some not so good things. We've seen people divorce over time as well. We've seen. I've mentioned the Wizard a couple times. The Wizard passed away 4 or 5 years ago now, I think.
I'm not sure. Time is, how it gets with time. Where you're like, it was probably last year. Oh, that was 7 years ago. So.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's been
that was hard.
Yeah.
And
Lori died.
Lori.
Yeah, we've had several friends pass on, which is always rough.
But then you also, at the same time, you see the friends you made, the geocaching community, come together. The Wizard, he passed away from cancer, and I know that the last Shampoo he was at, we did everything we could because he wanted to be there for that. He wanted to be there. That was one thing he always loved going to.
Yeah, and he got to kick around in a golf cart.
We talked the park into letting us have a golf cart there for him, so he could putt around on that. Oregon is weed-friendly state, and especially back at that time. Of course, not in state parks, but he was somebody who that was not something he did at all. But he was, dying of esophageal cancer, and we finally convinced him. We're like, "Hey, this guy's over here is caring, and we think you should try it." It was kind of amazing seeing the effect that had on him. Just that he's like, he could finally relax. The pain was lessened. He actually was hungry. And it just was, he was like, you know what? I'm actually enjoying myself and not in constant pain while I'm here. And he was a little high. And we're all like, it's all good because we knew what was coming.
Yeah. And he was surrounded by friends. So he was in a very safe environment.
A lot of friends.
Great. Yeah. That's, pardon me. Yeah. That's one of the neat things is just the huge friend groups that you make. And it becomes just this thing where, like Rick was saying, is for Shampoo. And we keep on bouncing back to this stuff, but where he's just like, I don't have food, I don't have water, I don't have shelter. And it was just like, come, traveler, you are weary and in need of sustenance. We shall take you in give you succor.
Yeah, with Shampoo, if you are hungry, thirsty, or if you need a drink, you just are not looking hard enough because there is water, there is food, and there is booze.
Yeah. And there's a lot of nice people.
There's great people, fantastic really people around. We've seen children grow up. We've seen children graduate.
That's the crazy thing. Like our friend Klausner, a hiking buddy of mine, we've summited a lot of stuff. We've put a lot of miles on our feet together. I met his youngest daughters when they were 11. They now have graduated collars.
They graduate college?
I'm a college-educated
guy.
Yeah, but graduated college. One of them has a double major and is working for HP and has been doing that for years. So it's just crazy where you're like, I remember when you were this squeaky voiced little, now you're an adult. Hey, congratulations. Time has passed.
And there's nothing cooler than twin girls going to their high school prom in a van driven by your dad's good hiking buddy.
Yeah, I took my friend's daughters to prom.
Oh, nice.
No, literally, I took them to prom.
Right.
I didn't go to prom. I just took them
in a van. It was, creepy guy with a beard in a van.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Taking high schoolers to a prom.
Yeah, I had free candy and everything for them. It was they fell for it, and so I took them to prom. Yes, I said, "Ha, gotcha." No, it was a lot of fun. But then I get to make her roll her eyes all the time, where I call her prom date, and she's like,
I think I remember that Amber Alert.
yeah. It was if it wasn't an Amber Alert, it was a Silver Alert. So because they're like. They put out one for one and then one for the other, where they're like, old man takes kids to prom, and it's scary and wrong. If you see him, tell him to stop it. But it was under her dad's approval, so
yeah,
I blame him.
Yeah. There's one couple, the Mudders, actually a family of 3.
Oh yeah.
Their son just graduated from high school, and
Christopher?
No, Christopher's the father of the Mr. Mutter. Dropping names, it's fantastic. He was telling me that he remembers the first time that he met me was at one of the bonfires on the beach, and I'm out there flying a kite, and his son, who was, Christopher probably was like 7 or 9 at that point in time, goes running on the beach, and I'm sitting there like showing him how to fly a kite, and he's like, okay, this guy who's at the bonfire with us is showing my son how to fly a kite. And, next thing I know is I'm over at their house watching him graduate from high school.
Yeah, a short X number of years later.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we do a bonfire like out of, again, pardon me. We do a bonfire out at the coast every year, too, kind of like end of season, like in September, where it's just sort of like, hey, I think one time we made it an event, but a lot of times it's just a lot of cashers getting together, and you get housing, and we get a central beach house, and then it's go out and fly kites and play in the sand, walk out to Haystack Rock and go caching. And then stuff starts getting introduced where it's like, oh, we start burning art effigies. And I'm like, oh, and how about I introduce spark spinning? And that's really cool. And steel wool and spinning it, and sparks go flying everywhere. And it's like, oh, what about giant bubbles? And how about this? So it's kind of like a mini Burning Man for 30 people. And
we always, somebody brings a glow in the dark or lit up Frisbee, and we play Frisbee in the dark on the beach. Big bonfire. We always burn the wood. We've only had 1 year where the weather was so bad that everybody went inside. But
that was so great. That was just, it was blowing so hard. It was just sheeting rain one way, and we threw all the wood that we brought onto the bonfire at once. It was like Armando was there, and he's just all, dump. Yeah. And because it was blowing so hard, it would just flare up. But there was like this 50-foot trail of just sparks and embers flying down the beach, and it was just this the hottest sun of a bonfire here that you had to stand next to stay warm. So you'd have one side that was sopping wet and freezing, and your other side that is just comfortable. And so you'd see everybody, and they'd be here, and then about every 10 minutes they'd rotate, and the steam would pour off here, and then this would get soaked, and then rotate.
Because by God, we were going to be outside. We are going to have that bonfire. And we burned through all of the wood we brought in an hour.
Yeah, it was.
And then we were back inside.
Yeah, we said we did a bonfire. Done. Let's go inside and visit and play there. Yeah.
Yes. So
that was funny. I forgot about that. No, I didn't forget about that.
I had it written down. See right there. Yeah. Annual bonfire.
Clever man with your notes.
Yeah. No, we have a lot of good friends. We do a lot of fun things, and I think this is the central core of what geocaching is.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, we're going out into the woods, we're doing hikes, we're finding plastic boxes with McDonald's toys, but at the same time, it's the social aspect is what keeps it going. Because if you can make friends, if you can go out and do things, some people stop caching, some people don't. Some people keep up the streaks, the daily streaks. Other people are like, I'll go out and find a cache whenever I want to. But it's the people that you meet, it's the friendships that you have. It's, you need somebody to talk to, you need somebody to shoulder to cry on. You need to just hang with somebody. Hey, let's go out and find a cache, or can we go and talk? Can we go and do something? And you build some good relationships that way.
Yeah, you really can. Yeah, you really, really can.
Yeah, it is very much about the community. If you want it to be, there are people who try to be kind of solitary, and most of them that I've run into, of course, are part of the community now. They go to the events and everything. But I imagine that there are still some of them out there who tend to keep to themselves.
Yeah, and it's valid. It's completely valid. Yeah. But I know I have one friend right now, Jake, who when I first met him, he was very, very quiet and very reserved. He'd be going to the events with, his, people he knew and friends. And I just go and sit next to him like, Hey, how you doing? What's up? How's it going?
Yeah.
And-
Rick makes friends absolutely everywhere. I'm outgoing, and Rick makes me look like a hermit. It's just
But
ridiculous.
I gotta just poke Jake a little bit. Just how you doing? How you doing? Now he's one of my good friends. I go and Friday nights a lot of times my wife's like, okay, you get out of the house. I just let me have a quiet time. You just go away. I'm like, all right, and hang out with Jake. We're gonna go hit a bar. We're gonna go catch a movie. We'll go see a band or something, and we'll go find a couple caches because why not? But you do make some good friends, even some of the quiet and shy ones, But
yeah, it's amazing
it's
how many people get into the sport for the caches to get outside to do the walking, and then they come across the community as an aside. And a lot of them find out about the event caches and want to get that other icon, and that's how they get into it. But it's amazing at just how many people we meet and become friends with. And it's because I think largely we have this common interest that you make those initial connections so easily.
Yeah. Most of the people I've met through caching, they've all been really great people. It's, the occasional one where you're like, that person was a jerk, but almost everybody else you meet, you're like, that person's great, or that person's really outgoing, or that person's a little bit, introverted, but they have a lot to really share. So most people I've met have been really, really awesome.
And you've got the opportunity to meet people all across the world. I mean, going to the Giga event where I met you guys, I went there with Thunder Eggs, and she's one of the reviewers out here, and we hung out with a lot of the reviewers. And at the same time, I knew some of them, making some of my own friends. But at one point in time, I'm driving around in a car with reviewer and his wife from Canada and a guy from Germany. Now, Andreas, I've met many times, but I'm like, I'm the only American in this car. This is fun. You got an opportunity to meet people from all over the world. It's just fantastic. You just have to tell them that, the 300 meters to the next cache, that means nothing to me. Can we please turn this to feet? We're in America, people.
Ron Swanson them real quick and just go, you, sir, need to do what I say.
But of course, then I've got the German just turn around and start talking to me in German. I'm like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing at how many times you go to something like a mega event and you end up caching with these people that you met like literally 5 minutes ago. Yep. And by the end of the trail, you're good buddies. I wouldn't say all the time, but many times you keep in touch with them, and they're halfway across the country or even the world.
Yeah. The Giga event, they had the 30 lab caches that were set up there. And I met one guy at the first lab cache, and we started talking like, hey, I'm doing this by myself. You want to do this together? Sure, let's do it. We were 2 of the first 100 people to finish all the lab caches, and we actually got the souvenirs. I'd never met the guy before in my life, and we hit it off, figured it out, and had a good time.
See, and that's an advantage. That's an advantage to making these quick friends at the events like that. You find the people who you think can do all of the event caches, live caches, connect with them, become friends with them, because not only can you get the caches knocked out and get onto something else, but they're the ones that you want to hit up when you have problems with cache later. I can't figure out this puzzle. Yeah, go talk to these guys.
How many times do you get the phone call, or I get the phone calls or texts like, hey, you found this cache the other day. Can you tell me how to do it? Yeah, okay. What you want to do is you want to hold the cache like in your hand, and tip it to the left, tip it to the right. Keep tipping it until the wheels inside unlock. And that was Jill the other day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So, Daryl, do you have any of those, like met somebody in the woods and went traveling into some weird place, or you're driving somebody else's car, or changing any somebody's flat tire or anything stories? Because I've got some, but I'm kind of like, oh, we're really kind of hogging the cast. So
yeah, no worries. There's so many of those kind of stories. Fortunately, none with the flat tires.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, flat tires.
I don't recall ever driving anyone else's car, though I'm sure I had.
I've got one of those ones.
I've got several of those.
Here,
let Daryl go.
No, I was going to just say, we've been doing this for 14 years ish.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so many of those stories that go away, and it's amazing at how the sport has changed and how the people who are in it have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be you'd go into the woods on one of these hikes, and it's all about someone has the paper, someone has the GPS,
yep.
so that you can cooperate and split some of these tasks and make it better. Now everyone has their cell phones.
Yeah,
and
everything's on a
smartphones.
phone. It really,
So,
I think it really burst
changed.
in when the phones came up.
Yeah.
Because
well,
before it was
2008 with the first of the GPS enabled iPhones is when we saw that real burst of people coming into the sport. Some of them stayed, some of them left, but that's when it really started to change, because you got a whole new group of people who started out with the phone where they didn't have to make that investment in the GPS. And a lot of them at that point went and bought the GPS anyway, but they were coming into it from a different angle than, hey, we have this GPS and we want to go out caching, or, you know, we're going out caching, we need a GPS. Now it's a, hey, we found this through something cheap that we already, well, that's not cheap,
already
but
owned it.
yeah, so, you know, low barrier to entry.
Yeah, no further investment.
But if you really do the cost calculation of all the money we used to spend on ink and paper, it really, I mean, how much money do we spend on that versus the GPSs that we bought at the time?
Zero, because you printed at work.
or you were crazy like me and ended up getting a portable printer, which I needed for something else I was doing anyway. But it was like one more excuse. Okay, I'm going to buy the portable printer because now I can take it when we go on a long trip and print out the cache pages.
Okay. I can remember distinctly the first time I met Sled Dog and the Wizard at Liquid Sunshine. Found the cache, and I'm talking to these two guys, and they're telling me, oh yeah, we've been caching for years. We've done all these caches. I had a stack of papers like this that I pulled out. I said, oh, have you done this one? Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one. And I pulled up a Pyramid of Mitsukari.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Kiwi Monster's old ones. And it was a paint by color or paint by numbers.
Something like that.
A logic puzzle. Is in a giant pyramid. And I had printed this giant pyramid in like font like that. And I printed out one piece of paper and I had finished it, colored it all in. I mean, it was painstaking. I'm like looking like this. And I had the coordinates in there. They like, we will take you anywhere. We will take you to any cache we've ever gone to because we haven't solved that puzzle yet. But I mean, back then you had all these papers and you just carried them around with you. This was what I'm going to do. I'm going to find all these caches. Some of these are self puzzles. Some of these are just, you know,
mine were all in the trunk or the back seat of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was always fun to sift through those and go, oh, okay, got to keep the update system going.
Yeah.
But then it moved into Palm Pilots. And
right, I was going to say, I don't think it was even a year, maybe a little bit over, but it was sometime around then that I had to get into, you know, I already had the Palm. You know, they had the, I want to say it was the 3C. But I don't.
That sounds familiar.
No, sure, just say it.
I had something like that too.
I had a 3C, but I think it was the M505 that I was using when I actually started caching, because you know that's a long time ago. And 3C I think was long dead by that point.
That was a lot of tech ago, really. I mean,
yeah.
Well.
But yeah, I ended up with the Moby Reader format, and that was the whole reason I wanted to get the premium membership. Was because if you got the premium membership, you got the GPX files, you got the Moby Reader formatted text, and the ebook that you could put on your Pocket PC. You could put it on, well, actually, I think they were still called Windows CE at that point, but your Pocket PC, your Palm in the app, and that was a godsend because you could put all of your notes in there as to which ones you found before the GPSs really could handle it. You know, there were some of them that had the found option, and it would just put it on the calendar. But you could put the notes in on the GPS or on the PDA, and you had things like CacheMate. And so then the people who had that tech and knew how to use it were always the people that you went to go on the trail, because you know they didn't have to carry that stack. You could find more caches, and then they just email you which caches you found in what order and when, and gave you the notes so that you didn't have to worry about it.
Klausner, who I'd go with a bunch, he'd make up actually a checklist.
Oh, geez, I remember those.
Yeah, just like a waterproof paper checklist. You know, it's like you had to provide a pen. I'd provide like breakfast burritos, and that was my contribution. I'd provide food and ballast for his car, and then he'd take care of the work part, and then I'd hike with him, and then I'd find the caches. So he brought me along for food, ballast, and finding.
And Dr. Muscles.
Yeah, Dr. Muscles. And changing his tires because he'd get flats all the time.
Yeah.
So I think I've changed 3 or 4 flat tires on his cars and another one on another person's car.
We have a lot of good stories about Klausner and vehicles.
We don't need to tell this.
We don't need to tell that story.
I'll actually respect him saying, "Don't tell people." And we're like,
we will not tell people about that story about Klausner.
Yeah, but just getting back to the kind of the friendship thing and the palms. Friendship story that I made, which was great, was with a guy named Palm Grunt, who was, I believe, a sergeant in the Army, Jason. And he was a great guy, but there was a guy who dropped his personal geo coins into caches in the gorge. Mm-hmm. I think it was Martini Jeff or Martini Jim. And I said, "Oh, cool! I want to go get one of those." So I get out there, and it's like, "Oh, it's a Wahi Wannabe," and I get the coin. I'm like, "Cool!" And I'm leaving there, and this guy comes up with his GPS, and he's like, you just see this crestfallen look, like, He's like, "Are you doing what I think you're doing?" I'm like, "Is it finding this coin?" He's like, "Yeah." And he's just so sad. I'm like, "Well, I know in the log descriptions, this guy said that he had left one at this other cache. You could go get it there." And he's like, "I don't know where that is. I only logged this one in here because the other one seemed hard." I'm like, "I've been to the other one. I can take you to it." He's like, "Oh, would you?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." With the only addendum that if the one further in has a lower number coin, I get that, but I'll totally take you to it. He's like, "Yeah, let's go do that." And so we're walking through the woods, and we're walking up, no trail, just up a creek bed.
This is Kahoney Falls?
No, we're going to Kahoney Falls.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but we're, not Wahi Kahoney, just Kahoney Falls.
Okay, but still.
Yeah, so we're going from trail, 100 feet in from that was his first cache. And then like half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, something up a river.
It's up a creek. There's no trail. You are walking through the creek.
Yeah. But so we get like a 1/4 mile in, and he kind of stops and he's all, "Hey, what's your name?" And I'm going to call my wife real quick just to tell her where I'm going, because you might have an axe and kill me. I don't know. And I'm like, "Oh, here, hold on here. Go ahead and call your wife. Here's my caching name. Here's my real name. Yep. Feel safe, person in the military and person in the military's wife." But yeah, so it was great. So I walked him up to that, found it. He was like, "This is amazing." And he got, sorry, danger coin. But yeah, so we got the coin and came back, and it was just like super cool with him ever since. I haven't seen him in years. He got deployed, and I have no idea what happened to him. But
I have a similar story on that.
Make sure this is plugged in still.
Yeah,
you're good.
I have a similar story to that. I met Sled Dog and Wizard,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we went out caching that day. And the next weekend, we went and drove up to Washington to go get a bunch of caches.
Mm-hmm.
And we took one car, and I was driving, and I think it must have been the Wizard, Sled Dog's son, and myself. And we went to one cache, and we were up kind of high on a bluff, and the GPS started pointing that was down there. And I was like, "Well, I'm going to just go down the hill and get it." And they're like, "No, we don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We think there might be another way." So I tossed them the keys to my car. I said, "Okay, well, go ahead and drive down around. I'm going to go this way. You go the other way. We'll meet, figure out what's going on." Okay, great. So give him my keys. I go down the hill, find the cache, meet up with him on the trail going out, go back, go to another cache. We're in this park. We go to find a cache deep in the park, get done with it. And I'm like, "Hey, I need to go to the restroom. There's a restroom over here. I'm going to go and get this on the way out." So I start walking down there, and like the Doug's son, it's like, "Hey, I have to go to the bathroom too." Great, come on with me. So I'm in one of the stalls, and all of a sudden it hits me that I've got this 11-year-old kid that I'm now in charge of. And I start freaking out a little bit because,
kid.
Oh dear God, I'm like, "Hey, are you still there?" "Yeah." "Okay, when you're done, do not leave." Please. So we get done, we leave the bathroom, and as I'm walking up, I'm seeing like I gotta say, I think Wizard's wife was there with him too.
Yeah,
I think she was, but because I see them, like three of them, they're walking towards me, they're all whispering to each other, and they're like, "Hey, lobotomy, what's your name?" Like, yeah, I was having the same thought. And we're like, I trusted you guys with my car. I'm like, yeah, here's the keys to my car. Yeah. And you guys trusted me with your son. And
should we have done that? Turns out, yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing, though, the trust that all of a sudden you have with these people that you're going down the trail with. It's just amazing.
Well, we've got a younger cashier in this area, probably around 4 years old, I think now, who just runs off with any of the cashiers.
Yeah.
He just knows who they are. He'll run off during the events. And his parents are like, "Where's the kid?" "Oh, he ran off with so-and-so." "Okay, we're good." And, they lose track of the kid. He's got way too much energy, but he runs off with all of these other cashiers, and all the cashiers just kind of look after him, and
my daughter's 7 now, and the past couple of shampoos, it's been like she's just running around the loop, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we're keeping track of her." Yeah, she just went back around. We expect her back around so and so, and everybody in the loop is keeping track of her. They're like, "Yeah, we know whose child that is, and we got her."
Parenting's easy if you got a couple dozen people doing it for
you. A couple hundred people.
A couple hundred people is even better. This last week we were visiting cashier friends of ours in Sun River, and it's like, wow, 4 people parenting one child. It's pretty simple. Still a little bit of work, but
we went to the beach a couple weeks ago. Yeah, same kind of thing.
And that was
You guys
people parenting.
Yeah, you guys were trying to have lunch on Sunday, and
or 5 people parenting.
Yeah, you trying to have lunch, and like Aurora is just crying and crying, just trying to eat lunch, and Hillary's trying to eat lunch. They're both trying to eat lunch as quickly as possible to take care of the kid. And I scoop down my food and like, "Let me have her." Okay. Yeah, please. I look over. They're both just like, "Oh, we could just relax." Yeah. It's all right.
Yeah. So several hundred people watching after your kid that's the way to go.
Yes.
So if you can have that, great. If you can't, well, welcome to everybody else's life.
You're doing something wrong.
Not really. No, you're doing just fine, parents. You don't have to have hundreds of people. Hey, Herbie. You don't have to have hundreds of people parenting for you, but if you can, go for it.
Yeah. And now we have a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Who I assume is not a cashier.
No. He's standoffish enough that he doesn't cash.
There's actually 2 caching cats that I recall hearing stories about, but only 2 in 14 years.
Okay. Ours is an indoor. Well, we got 2 of them, but they're both indoor cats. So they would be active cachers, except they just can't find them. They just can't get out to them.
No.
I figure they just don't care.
There's a lot of that too. Yeah.
Now, if you hide the cache on top of a table.
Yeah. Or if the cache was a plastic bag that they could eat, then they'd really be into that. And then they'd leave me a first to find later on the floor.
GSMX2 times 2 says that the kitty is saying it's time to go. And he's not actually entirely wrong, because we are close to that hour-long mark, which is when we try to keep it wrapped up. Do you guys have any quick last stories that you want to talk about, though?
There's so many.
There's a lot. Let's see here.
I don't know.
Now I can't tell that one. That one's
there's a handful of stories where you're like,
you've got a note about taking your friends to a porta potty. I'm thinking we have.
Okay.
Yeah. There used to be a cache in the Portland area called the porta potty cache, and this is back in the paper days, and the less reliable GPS days, as I like to call them too. And somebody put out a cache that was called the porta potty cache, and kind of the basis of it was somebody took it was just the kind of like part of a toilet kind of a thing.
I don't even know if that was people that put it out there or they found it. It was like a surveyor's toilet in the middle of a forest or something. And
that was easy enough to find, but to find the actual cache, you had to use that location, and you had to do a triangulation to like 2 other points and then bisect it in order to find it.
There was some hard math.
Yeah, you had to do some hard math. It was basically hey, we don't like this one cacher, so we're going to put out a really hard cache and just make everybody mad. So we went and did there used to be people that would get together, these giant groups, and they would do these ongoing, hey, we're going to go out and try to find this adventure.
Yeah.
Is it still out there? And yeah, that was another one of the ones that, Dan Man, Kiwi Monster.
I'm drawing blanks on
PDX Marathon Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bonch was there.
Yeah.
You, me, GeoJB, Nomadic Man. It was just
There's
a
a
huge
mess.
group.
And it's one of those ones that when you find it, you have giant picture that you take, like everybody standing there, like we did it, we found this cache.
Here's the thing: the end cache on that was my default setting was if you're ever looking for a cache, look for the cool looking tree. And it's there. And so you got these people and they're all doing math. And it's taking like a half hour. And so you kind of start drifting around looking at places. I'm like, that's a cool looking tree. Go over there and somebody's like, yeah, it's right there. And so you now have, out of, we'll say 12 people, over here and 2 people over here. And we've signed the log and you just stand there. And now one of these people walks over and it's like, now there's 11 people here and 3 people here. And now they've signed the log. And now 2 of these people look over and start walking over. And it's just, it was funny to see just them sift over to where the cache was. And you just stand there waiting to see, how long it would take people to go until finally there's just 2 people left.
And they're going to solve the math problem.
No, that was the thing. They weren't paying attention to people around. They're, math.
And I think it was Klausner and somebody else.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so hilarious because after like 20 odd minutes, 25 minutes or something, he puts the pencil pen down and he goes, the cache is that way. And over here, we're like, or you could come over here where maybe you'll find something you want to sign. So it's funny to see these people that put so much work into it, just be so crestfallen, but happy that they found it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once again, it's good to have friends, especially friends that laugh at you.
Yes.
Or laugh with you.
Or friends that can do math or solve puzzles.
Or friends that throw snowballs at you when you can't do anything about it.
Son of a... I forgot. Now I remember that.
Yeah.
Why are we friends?
We went on this giant caching run. We're in the forest, and there was 4 of us there, and there was some snow on the ground and things like that. Well, Jeff goes over off to the side to relieve himself,
do something. Yeah.
And while he's over there, and we found the cache, I reach down, make a snowball, lob it over at him, hits him on the back, and he can't do anything about it because
I was occupied.
He was occupied. So I throw another one.
Yeah, so they're laughing their heads off over there as the snowballs are raining over, and I'm all, stop it, quit it.
Because this is what good friends do.
Yeah.
This is what good friends do.
Former best friend.
Yeah. We usually call it talking to the trees.
Yes,
that's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff was talking to the trees, and I was throwing snowballs at his back.
Yes.
Yeah, and for the people who don't know what that means, they think you're even crazier.
We like
craziness.
We like craziness.
I'm trying to think of. We used to have a thing we called it when we were hiking, and I don't remember what it was.
I'm looking for a cache over here.
Yeah,
I'm looking for a cache over here.
Yes, but the problem is you do that, and then other people start coming over.
Don't come over. I got this. Yeah. You look over there. I'm looking over here.
Looking for a solo cache.
An offset.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. And
one quick thing. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, beer.
Jeff. What do you rank this beer?
This is really good. 4.5 easy.
4.5.
Yeah,
this is one of my 5 stars.
Really?
This is one of my favorites. It is one of my top beers.
Okay, so Peanut Brother, yum.
I give it 5 GPSs.
Ooh, 5 satellites.
5 GPSs.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 5 bars because we're using
phones
smartphones
anymore. Yeah,
no, we're
exactly.
using smartphones now. I get
that works. Oh, okay. And for anyone who we'll have your links to the podcast and to your profiles in the show notes. But for anyone who wants to find you guys outside of that, what are your other presences?
Right now, the biggest thing for us is the Unpacking the Power of the Power Pack. You can find us at Jeff and Rick Present. Yeah, at Jeff Rick Present is our Twitter handle, and our email address is jeffandrickpresent@gmail.com, and our website is jeffandrickpresent.wordpress.com.
Mm-hmm.
I've never written down.
And on Facebook, it's the Jeff and Rick Present Unpacking Power of the Power Pack, and Otherwise, Lobotomy, Cowboy Bebop on geocaching.
Please check it out. Also, we put out a brand new cache this week, which is a puzzle cache, and you might have to listen to one of our podcasts to get the information to find the puzzle cache.
Yeah, that's not a cheating way of driving up bandwidth.
Nope, not at all.
Driving your numbers up, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, weirdly, our listenership went up slightly this week.
You guys should try that. You guys should try that. You know,
Hey, we've had a few times where we've had people email us and ask us to put hints into shows.
yes.
Mhm.
So there are
That's
some
a
of
good
our
way.
shows that you have to go out and listen to. We try to make it pretty easy, but you have to go and download and listen to the show. And I always thought that was a fun one, but I've never found a cache that you've had to do that because they've never been anywhere I've been.
Oh,
Last night I ran into Ichabod.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I met Soup at McMiniman's, and Ichabod happened to be there with his wife.
Nice. Very nice.
Ichabod used to do his own podcast, and he set up a cache where you actually had to download a podcast, and he did a walking kind of narration.
I did that one. That was great.
As you went to the cache. So you had to listen to him talk as he's walking through the forest with you as you're walking through the forest. A little creepy because it's just like all of a sudden you're walking by yourself and you're hearing this voice in your head and the sounds of nature too. It's strange.
That was cool. That was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going even further back, Podcasters actually started to basically do that. The concept was essentially an audio letterbox.
Yes. Yeah.
And
That's
they were
exactly
calling
right.
them podcaches, and they were inviting people to send them their audio to their cache, and they would do the hosting and everything.
That's not actually a bad idea for something that I don't know, maybe Groundspeak could pick that one up. That could be a fun one too.
The open caching services actually have a podcast cache type.
Okay, well, yeah, darn.
But you are allowed to do it. You just host the file. You have to certify that it's free of viruses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it is allowed, and there are some people who are actually doing that still. I've only done one, and the problem is the same thing that you run into with the rest of the letterbox caches. Is after a few years,
the
environment changes enough that you might not take the right turn.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want to find a cache that's been hidden using a podcast, we have to listen to it. Come on down. Next time you're visiting your friend there, your quiet buddy there, come on down and drive down the road.
We're expecting to have a big event out in the Seattle area for the 20th anniversary of geocaching. So I'm crossing my fingers that
they can neither confirm nor deny such a thing will happen.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
But then, just come. You got to come on down the road and check out some of the fun stuff here. I mean, if you're in Seattle, definitely hit all of Goblin Dust caches because those are amazing.
Those are really good.
The wife has not done the original stash yet, so we were going to have to take her for that one. We have to take her for the ape cache. These are just what you have to do. And I'm anxious to go back to the ape cache because when I did that with Chris, almost 8 years ago, because it would have been for the 10th anniversary, the tunnel wasn't open. So what's the point of going to the ape cache, the tunnel of light cache, if there's no tunnel?
Do it with the tunnel. That is so cool. The best trick on that is to get cars on either end and a bike and start at the end of the tunnel and bike 26 miles down to Diamond Lake, I think it is. That's a super cool day.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
And it's easy. It's all downhill. It's an old railroad trail, and it's a lot of caches along the way.
Yeah, an old railroad trail, an old railroad tunnel, and I really enjoyed the bit of the trail that we did, but it wasn't what it should have been because it's closed.
The very cool thing to do is the tunnel, and also if you're walking it, bring a coat or something because it is just a wind tunnel AC machine.
Yeah,
it is cold. It gets really cold in there,
which is why you want the bike.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, because you can just
as you can.
Yep.
And there is at the end of the tunnel.
It's
really the train.
I know what's happening now. Okay.
All right. Okay, Chris, you've managed to scare away the pageant kids, I think. Maybe not. Maybe they've attacked.
Oh my goodness! I thought I had a nice quiet room, and no, I didn't. Wow, my connection isn't great, but That was worse.
You can't fix the environment as easily as you can fix your data connection.
Exactly.
We did get an iTunes review, though. Did you want to try to read that?
I will try to read that. We got an iTunes review from Turl2, Patty and Tim. I listened to several podcasts, but this one for the geocaching geeks in all of us. The hosts are awesome and complement each other. Well, thank you for that. And Daryl, I think you're a pretty good-looking host because, we have to complement each other.
We do, and we have to come up with something, I think, different than what Podcaster does, which is the smart and intelligent. But I like the geeks. To us, geek is a compliment.
No,
and
Daryl,
you are one of the geekiest people I know.
Thank you. Thank you. I was going to say, you almost got away without complimenting me, and I was going to call you out on it.
Okay, I want to do one of these.
I like that.
Rick, you have the smell for podcasting.
Jeff. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Jeff.
Oh,
I've got
snowballs at me while I was walking in through you, butter.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it.
He's awesome. He's great. He really is.
Your belches melt glass.
Oh, that is true. Yeah. Curry and beers makes for a curry and IPAs.
We have destroyed their nice comments, though.
No, Chris, I'm sorry that our connection wasn't very good. I was really looking forward to talking to you, and Daryl. Really fun talking to you. I know that we kind of ran over a lot of stuff, but it was a lot of fun.
Yes, this has been great. Thank you very much.
It's been a great, fun show. And Chris, thank you so much for being so persistent and trying to get everything working. Just to give everyone the heads up as to what happened, Chris was trying to get on about an hour before the show, couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work, so he ended up switching to the phone. Had problems now with the room, so he just wasn't supposed to be on the show tonight, apparently.
Yeah.
But he is one of the most persistent hosts that we've run into on a podcast.
Stubborn. Stubborn's the word you're looking for. Have you seen Pageant Kids after 10 o'clock at night?
No.
Oh,
I've heard them, but I have not seen them. Pageant Kids should not be seen or heard, in my opinion.
So there's a child beauty pageant thing going on or something, or what?
I think they're everywhere. I mean, it doesn't matter which hotel you go to. They're, somebody's doing makeup in the lobby to a 4-year-old.
Oh,
what's wrong with these people?
How sad.
Why aren't you out looking for a geocache at this time of night?
Exactly.
Come on.
Get the kids outside and moving.
Yeah.
Here's why.
On a runway.
Here's why. The kids got to earn their keep.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're expensive.
Yeah, they got to pay back.
And meanwhile, Chris, Keepers of the Cash Flow wants to know if you're going to make caching in the Northwest later on tonight.
I am certainly going to do my best.
And we'll keep our fingers crossed that the Pageant Kids have gone to bed by midnight so that you can. And we've got a bunch of great shows coming up for this show. Next week, we're going to be talking about Cache Tour again. That's going to be with R. Reagan and Plato Attic. Going to have a bunch of cool tips and tricks, I'm sure. Then following week is going to be a randomized show. So if you guys have anything you want to talk about or want us to talk about, send that in to geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com because that's the best place to do it. And you know what? We've got some trackables, and I have the feeling I'm going to give some of those away, including some DuckTale trackables that weren't claimed.
DuckTales.
Ooh, DuckTales.
That was great.
Let's start again.
DuckTales. Yeah, and the worst part is when I was at Gigastock was the only time I've seen the new DuckTales because we had Disney Channel, whatever it was, in the hotel room. So we actually sat there specifically to watch the new DuckTales when it happened to be on.
I haven't seen it yet, and I really want to.
I've only seen like a preview for it. It looked pretty good.
It is so bizarre having only seen the original DuckTales and Tailspin.
Yeah.
Those were those two that, were kind of like when I was in college, I think at the time, but those were the two I recognized, and seeing this new one, it's like, what?
We were actually talking about that 4 weeks ago. I think.
Yeah. We put that.
Yeah. Yeah, we had this whole nostalgia talk about DuckTales. And
it was off of one of the issues was called Fishtail, and we just, it was called Fishtail. Next issue, Fishtail, and woohoo! And we just instantly did that.
Oh, the Disney afternoon, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then on August 2nd, we're going to be talking about GeoArt with Jeannie and Steve Cat. Might be Ginny, but I'm going to say Jeannie. Then on August 9th is Scuba Caching 2, and Merlin 1392 is coming back for that. So we've got a bunch of great shows. If you have comments or questions on any of those, please send them into GeoGearHeads@Cachamaniacs.com. So check the Cachamaniacs website at Cachamaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing GeoGearHeads@Cachamaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachamaniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachamaniacs shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Chris Suffenauer and Daryl Wadberg. This show is copyright 2018 by Daryl Wadberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Cachamaniacs.